Good evening and welcome to the Coeur d'Alene City Council for January 2nd, 2024, our first meeting of the new year. And we will note that all council are present except for Councilor Wood, who is excused. We're going to begin this evening with an invocation by Bishop Brian King of the Prairie Ward Congregation, Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints. Welcome, Bishop King, and the floor is yours.
Our beloved Father in heaven, we are grateful to be able to gather here at the City Council and grateful for Thee and Thy Son, Jesus Christ. We're grateful for the opportunity to live in such a beautiful land, and we are grateful to Thee for Thy love for Thy children everywhere. We pray that we will be inspired. We pray for our mayor and the City Council members and those that are on the agenda for this evening's meeting. Bless them in all that they do. Bless their families. Bless all those who have been appointed to lead us in this city. Bless it to be a city that is prosperous, that is safe, and is good for the citizens and families of this area. We are grateful to Thee and ask these blessings in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. And I would ask Councilor Kiki Miller to lead us in the pledge tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any amendments to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll begin this evening with an update on impact fees by Melissa Cleveland. Melissa, welcome.
Okay, I think this is it.
Yeah.
That- Oh, it's already
Yep,
open.
you're good. Yep. There you go.
And then, okay. Perfect. Okay, so this is an update on the impact fee study. But the purpose of this update is to explain some modifications to the CIPs that were made since December based on your feedback. Also change some of the methodology, explain some of the changes in the methodology since November, with parks in particular, and provide example land uses and associated fees, and gather council feedback, hopefully one more time before the January's hearings. So feedback from council in November was to take a look at the park CIP, and especially the acres per thousand level of service, to see if the 5 per thousand was appropriate or if that should be relooked at. Also remove Julius Street. We only had the planning, $2 million for planning, but remove that just completely from transportation CIP. Look at reducing the assisted living fee. A higher percentage of the police substation that we had shown in the CIP, and provide a little more detail on the fee calcs in the update. And these changes reduce the parks fees and slightly raise the police fees. So I'll go through those. So parks items that changed is that we revised the parks CIP to reduce cost, and we looked at reducing the level of service to closer to that 4 per thousand. We determined that today it's about 4.2 acres per thousand of developed parkland. So looking at reducing the amount of parkland anticipated to purchase because of that. And then we also looked at, with the help of staff, revising some of the assumptions in users. Basically, because of quite a bit of interest in hotels coming up, that the overnight visitors growth was anticipated to be a lot higher than what we were originally anticipating. So those are the changes that we made. And so this is how the users were updated. So the users for parks are the residents, the overnight visitors, and the non-resident employees. So now growth share went up just a tad to 19.7% from 18.3% because of that increase to overnight visitors. So the park CIP, here's what we have now. This was reduced. The new parks was reduced by 5.2 million. What we did is reduce the acquiring land for future parks from 10 to 5. And then the BLM park, Harbor Center, it was reduced because, so Bill Greenwood and I went back through some of the docks have been installed, so we pulled that out. And then and there's a boardwalk that was originally planned at Harbor Center that didn't seem like would probably be installed. So there were a few ways that we reduced the cost there. And then lacrosse, there were a few items that we pulled out of that one as well, including that the parking lot's now done. So that ended up reducing parks by 5.2 million. So now of the 11.7 million in the CIP, 9.6 is eligible for impact fees. So that's growth share. So this is how the fee for parks is calculated. So it's just like we explained before. You basically take your growth share of your CIP and you divide it by your users. And then those users get worked into the different land uses. So whether it's number of people who live in a home on average, or it's number of non-residential employees on average, that type of thing. So this, the total park impact fee per customer unit is now $535, and that was reduced from $983, what you saw before. So, and then if we're still kind of going, are we going to charge non-residential park fees or not? If you don't, that goes up a little bit to $620 per customer unit. You take out the overnight visitors and the non-residential employees. So per dwelling unit, that goes to about $1427, and this kind of shows all the other calculations, what the fee would go to. And again, it does make a little more sense once I get into the examples. So the transportation items that were updated, that we removed that planning item from the Julia Street overpass, and then we did take another look at some of the trip generation rates for some of the land uses and compared KMPO's model to ITE, which is the Institute for Transportation Engineers, and kind of made a few tweaks there. So this is how the transportation fee is calculated. Again, it's off trips. So the users are trips, person trips and vehicle trips. Growth share is 16.8%. That hasn't changed. All of that is the same as last time. So the transportation CIP, we just removed that Julia Street one. So a lot of this has not changed. And of the 88.2 million in the CIP, 30.7 is eligible for impact fees. This is a map that shows, this hasn't changed either, a map that shows where the park and transportation projects are, because there's so many of them. So the transportation fee calc here, again, it's that cost basis, that 30.7 million, minus what you already have in your impact fee balance, the 10-year change in PM peak hour trips, and so then you get a fee per trip. And just like the parks fee, then we attribute that to the various land uses. Okay. So this is how the transportation fee splits out to all the different land uses and also compared to what we were showing before. So it has in most cases gone down just a little bit because we removed $2 million and then we also took a harder look at some of the trips. There were some retail shopping that just seemed a little high, so we went back and made some tweaks. So the fire CIP has not changed. This is just exactly the way it was last time. So we've got, it's all 100% impact fee eligible, and it's 8.8 million. So the fire fee, we did decide to just kind of look at it as the non-residential is just a consistent fee per per square foot, instead of trying to back into certain land use, non-residential land uses having more of a need for fire or not. So now it's just a consistent 70 cents a square foot. So the police CIP did change. So before, I wonder, we had the police substation in there at 16.4. We looked, because this was a comment from council last time, we looked at how can we look at this in a different way to get that percentage up. So we looked at the total amount of square footage in police facilities that you have today, and compared that proportionally to your population 10 years from now. And so by doing that, we were able to justify a little higher percentage of the police substation. And then also notice that we no longer specify that it's necessarily a downtown substation, because it sounded like, although staff might feel like that's where it'll end up, council wasn't necessarily a part of that conversation, and it might end up somewhere else in the city. So it doesn't say that in the report anymore. So with that, here's how the police fee shakes out. And so cost per square foot for non-residential is 37 cents. And then you can see the square footage costs for single-family and multifamily and assisted living. So the maximum defendable fees is what the study, that's what the study produces. So here are where we're currently standing with the maximum defendable fee. And in most cases, it is less than what we were showing before. This is non-residential. This has the non-residential park fee. So the next slide will not have, well, be zeroed out on the non-residential park fee. Well, I guess not, the next slide. So here's the, remember that we're scaling by average the single-family home by size of house. We're scaling that, so it'll be by square foot instead of by dwelling unit. So that's how that looks there. This is with the non-residential parks fee in there. And then this is without the non-residential park fee. So then you would only have parks fees for single family and multifamily, which pushes that element into those fees and takes it out of the non-residential fees. We didn't have that before, so there's nothing to compare it to. And so here are those same fees scaled for various sizes of single-family home. Okay, now we're going to get back into the examples again with our new fees. So parks has gone down quite a bit because we reduced the CIP and we increased the users, number of customers. So both bring that down. I put it in here both ways. So if you have with parks or without the non-residential parks, so this example of 89-room hotel would have a fee, if you went cost per room, it would be $230,000. And then without parks, it's $124,000. And here's how it compares to other cities in the area. Here's the example of the new restaurant. These examples are all the same, just with slightly different fees. So the non-residential parks fee for a restaurant is just super low. So they're basically the same fee at almost $20,000. And that's how it would compare to Post Falls, Nampa, Hayden, and Twin Falls for the same type of land use. The office space, same thing. Parks is just a really low part of that, so it's about 23 or 23,000, and that's how it compares to Post Falls, Nampa, Hayden, and Twin Falls. An 18-unit apartment building. So this is where the fee will go up if we're not charging non-residential parks fees, because that puts a little bit more into the residential uses. So it would go from $89,000 to $93,000. And that's how it compares. It's still lower than Post Falls and Nampa, a little bit more than Hayden. The average home, with the tweaks that we made, is about $6,000. If you don't charge the non-residential park fee, it's $6,600. So it just goes up by $200. And that's how it compares to the other cities similar cities in Idaho. A smaller home, the difference is in Coeur d'Alene with scaling the single-family home fee, you'll have a lower fee for a smaller home, which a lot of the other cities aren't doing. So you have about $3,500 for your fee for a small home. The annexation fee has not changed throughout this study, so it will still be the $1,133. So this is the revised maximum defendable fee, and it's comparing it to November. I put two. There's only two that went up, and it was because we relooked at some of the trip generation for transportation. So, and I put those in red so that you would notice them. But every other fee went down just a little bit, and that's where we now stand. So feedback and next steps is that I would really like to get some feedback on if you're thinking about including the non-residential park fee or not. Right now, the study, we've written it both ways. So there's all the tables in the study have it both ways, but we do need to know how we're going to notice the fee schedule change. So it doesn't necessarily change the study because we've written it both ways, but we need to know what to do with that. And then I'm assuming based on past feedback that we want to do hotels or accommodations and assisted living by the room rather than by the square foot. So I just wanted to make sure that that was correct. Again, just so we get it correct on the fee schedule. And then just any other last comments to address. I believe the hearings are planned again for January 16th. All right, that's it.
Okay, questions? Woody?
Just a couple on, could you pull the comps up again?
Yeah, is there a specific one?
Just kind of cruise through it. So it looks like, just overall, that we're a cheap place to build in. Am I reading it right? I mean, comparative to the other places?
I mean, you're right kind of in the hunt. I mean, that's for sure. You're right comparative to other similar cities. Like the restaurant, for instance, is quite a bit cheaper. Let's see, office space is pretty similar. You know, Hayden's a little lower, Post Falls and Nampa are higher, Twin Falls is a little lower. So you're kind of right, for the most part, kind of right in the middle of maybe what these other comparative cities are looking like. Your apartment building is less, even not less than Hayden or Twin Falls. Yeah, you're just kind of right in the middle, I guess, of these cities that we chose to compare to, which I think are the cities you also compared to during the comp plan. So we tried to be consistent. They're either close by and similar in population or something like that.
I noticed the transportation seemed to be, we're pretty low on that. Just looking at that, is there a reason for that? Is it because we have 95 going up the middle of us, or?
Why you're lower than Post Falls? I think you're pretty close to Nampa, little more than Hayden. So, I mean, you're just kind of right in the middle there. So, as far as knowing, I don't know exactly how Post Falls calculated their fee to know why yours is just a little bit less. Ours is based on the trip growth that comes out of KMPO's models, you know, and then dividing that up into the various land uses.
So there is consistency between what you say with the max we can take, is that where you kind of set up a bar, and yet does that, the other cities in the same boat, so they can go lower, but you can't go higher?
Right, it's a maximum fee.
Okay,
So you can't go higher than what the study recommends.
gotcha.
But, and as I've been working on this, I've looked at a lot of cities in the states, studies and fees, and sometimes they do. Sometimes they'll say 75% of the fee. If they have like a reason to believe that there's other revenue sources out there, like grants and things that they can take advantage of, that might be something they do. And then there are some cities that if there's deed restricted housing, they'll waive impact fees for those. So those are all things that you can always reduce fees.
But also, we attached to all this is all these projects we want to do, all the building fire stations and police stations
Right.
and improving the roads, and yet we seem to be on the low end in some places. And I mean, not that it's a bad thing, but when it's economically, we have to make those decisions, you know, or go without. Just
Right.
the lights coming on a little at a time here. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't updated your fee for 20 years, so I think it's it'll be higher than your fees are today. So but when you compare to the other cities who have updated their fees more recently, you're really comparable.
Okay, thank you.
Dan?
Sure. One thing, yeah, I appreciate this and kind of the different tweaks, and you know, I think you could definitely draw the conclusion that we are a good bargain for what they're going to pay in Coeur d'Alene. I think we've got a lot to back up and offer what we do, and again, that's the maximum bar. Since our last meeting, and some of the discussion was on, you know, potential for police substation and things, and I've done a little bit of investigation of, and this will come up in the future hearings, but for me, anyway, you know, identify that the museum that is downtown, that, you know, we've just moved out and to the White House, and, you know, confirmed that that's city property and a city building. I worked there way back when it was the co-op and the Cenex, and it's got good bones, good structure, you know, some square feet, and of course you've got adjacent parking on one end. There's like even a, you know, a large bay door that, you know, at some point isn't used, would be very easy. So in terms of doing a potential very good remodel, have space downtown, for something if they needed a larger thing for an event or something, and it's got the adjacent parking, you know, and I think that could fit into, you know, some of the money pool and stuff. I have no idea what that would cost, but if you're starting with you own the building, you own the land.
Right, so you own
and
that
I know
building.
that there have been some trade-offs of, you know, view versus whatever, but that just seems like too good of an opportunity to drive by without taking a look at. So just kind of, that's kind of my pre-alert on that one. So.
Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So thank you for removing the Julia Street overpass. That was a good decision. I personally would prefer that hotels, restaurants, and commercial not pay park impact fees. It doesn't make sense to me.
I'm sorry, say that again.
So the example she's shown about, would
Here,
show
I'll
the
show one that
hotel
has-
and then a new restaurant and then commercial office space, that would be no impact fees for parks, because I don't think they have an impact fee. That's what I would prefer.
You don't think they have an impact?
On parks.
Dan,
That's a,
Dan,
And so, question for you. When we set these fees, will they be updated annually, or when do they get updated again? And don't say 20 years.
Well, the way that we've been looking at this, the fee schedule, is to have it escalate annually, and that can just be whenever you guys go through it. When do you do it? April generally?
Yeah, we have for the utilities an April date,
An
April
April.
1st.
Yeah, so that would just automatically happen, and we had looked at using like a construction cost index from the last 5 years to scale, which is 3.9% per year, to scale forward. So,
And I would be in favor of that, so I do appreciate that we're going to be doing that. And I also I made a request last time to see the historical, what they would have been, what our impact fees would have been had we done that for the past 20 years. Where would we be at? How much money would have been generated that we didn't see? So I'd still like to see that data for the hearing
Okay.
next meeting. Thank you.
actually, I think that had we escalated fees all along, you would have seen a whole different fee structure than what we're looking at now, and goes back to Woody's questions about some of our fees being lower. Well, it's because we have grown and not picked up the fees for those folks for stuff that we could have paid for with impact fees, but now that is,
Still want to see it.
yeah, oh, definitely. Yes, Kiki.
I just have a couple questions. One is, I'm on the opposite side of the coin as Councilmember Gookin on the parks fee, because I feel that our parks are a tremendous amenity to some of the hotel properties here, and we know that they advertise it to their guests to use our parks. And so I know that we don't use the impact fees for the maintenance, but my feeling is that the more we have visitors in our parks, the less space there is for the residential folks who actually paid for the park. And so I do think the need for more parks and a better quality of parks for our residents, either in the further north part of town where they are, should be part of the capital improvements plan. And it feels to me like the parks CIP has been a real moving target. And so it seems that there should be a more focus on some better amenities paid out of the impact fees in some of the further north parks than where we have right now.
there is like a whole new park up in the, let's see if I can get back to it. That Trails Park is up in that northwest corner of the city. And then the acquiring land is for, who knows, but most likely, since that's where land's available, again, probably over in that new
Right.
area. So,
But I think we had talked, at one point, it seems like we had talked about, there are some parks, like even at Shattuck and Ramsey and even Sunset Park, where a splash pad or some more amenities for the families that have actually paid for these parks I'd just like to see that considered in the improvements plan. So that's kind of my feeling on that. And we the impact fees weren't around when some of the existing hotels were built, and so it's been footed by the citizens, and so I'd like to see them receive some benefit on the other side of that. That kind of leads into my other question there, is that when the CIP plan and it comes together, even in transportation, is that a priority list that we have to tie to that, or is this just a plan that a future council can modify? I'm looking at things like.
Yes, you can definitely modify it. You could even say next year, like you're not ready for an update, but there's a project that needs to be on the CIP. You can modify the CIPs. You just can't go over the growth share amount that was in this study.
Okay.
That's the way it's been.
I'm just looking at,
So-
we don't know what's going to happen on the west side of town, and Atlas might need to be more of a priority than it is now. So if we've got the transportation CIP in there to get Atlas widened, then I just was trying to be
Right.
clear as to how that priority worked, but.
Right, none of this is necessarily a prioritized list. It's not like P1 here is the most important project.
Got it.
And then, yes, you guys can update the CIP. You'd probably have to pull something out because you wouldn't want it to go over, unless you wanted to go through a whole new fee study, you wouldn't want it to go over whatever gross share it was in this report.
And so that kind of ties into my last piece, to be clear on, is that we talked about, some people feel very strongly about a police substation being brand new. We need to have that. But we have available space. Councilmember English mentioned one place we've talked about before, the museum location, but we also have storage space in the parking garage we've looked at. We maybe could do that again. And we have a substation there's a police officer station down at the fire station, which is going to need a remodel. So I'm just wondering if we tie this into this impact fee, it's eligible for this substation, could that be remodels to multiple places?
I think that's why we made it less specific.
Okay.
After talking with you guys last time, that you weren't so dialed in on exactly what that would be, that we went back and kind of stripped that out to give you flexibility. It's still only, that 37% of what we kind of
right.
estimated it at, but it gives you a little more flexibility, hearing that it's not decided where it's going to be, and there's multiple
Right.
places it may land.
And it could be more than one place.
Right.
Right, okay, I got that. And so then you're looking, so the non-resident parks fee, I think I addressed that. So,
Okay.
thank you.
I just have almost a follow-up question to some of Kiki's, and in particular to the BLM park and the adjustments made there. You said Bill recommended removing the docks and the boardwalk. Can you tell a little bit more about, because he didn't think it's going to be done in X amount of time, done at all?
So the docks, when we first started this project, the docks hadn't been constructed, but he said they are now.
Oh, are constructed, right.
Yeah, so those needed to get pulled out, so that was kind of an obvious thing. And then there was some boardwalk, in the master plan, there was some boardwalk improvements that Bill thought that we could pull out.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
On that topic, I was confused on that too, because originally there were supposed to be docks down where the commercial piece is in Atlas, and that's what I thought we were talking about here in this plan. And the docks that are constructed are the ones that were in partnership with the vendors that they paid for that are up further at
Right,
Harbor Center.
So the other parks that you're talking about, I think, are still here under P4 in the Atlas Park docks.
Oh, the day use docks?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the ones that are the commercial docks that have already gone in, so we pulled those out.
Harbor Center.
Yeah, so he went back through the
Go ahead.
estimate and was able to reduce it a little.
May I ask Troy for clarification?
You bet.
Troy, I'm having a hard time remembering the boardwalk, and I can't get past that. That was in the BLM project?
While you're going back in time. So
Right.
that boardwalk, was that going to be possibly an extension coming along Bella Reeve? And Bella Reeve now takes care of that.
Okay.
We don't take any of that responsibility. That's on their homeowners association. And we know that a boardwalk on the Spokane River is wrought with maintenance as we explore the dock down at the Johnson Mill River Park and all of the energy that happens along there. So I think we're looking at a master plan that would be a tough maintenance issue if we had the capital to build it.
Does that answer your question? Sort of?
Sort of. I just need to pull up that old master plan. I apologize. My memory it has been years and years, and I just don't remember that boardwalk there, so.
Okay.
I'll make sure we have a little more detail on that before
And I
the,
can look it up too.
okay.
Thank you.
Is that good? Okay.
Yep.
Perfect.
You're good. Okay, we next have on our agenda public comments. No one has signed up tonight for public comment,
That is
so we'll move on to the consent calendar.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move to approval of consent calendar as presented, please.
Second.
Wake up, you
It's a new
guys.
year, new
We
year.
have a motion and a second. Further discussion on the consent calendar. Hearing none, will the clerk take the roll, please?
Gookin?
Yep.
Evans?
Yes.
English?
yes.
Miller?
Aye.
McEvers?
Yes.
Do we have
Mr. Mayor.
any,
If I could, I thought, Suzanne, did you sign up for public comment?
Not that public comment.
Oh, you're in the hearing?
Oh, oh.
Okay, all right. Thank you. She told me that she was in public comment. I just want to make sure we didn't goof up. Thank you.
announcements? Okay, I have none either, so we'll move to the oath of office. And I would ask Councilman Gookin to step down.
For now.
Yes.
Thank you.
To receive his oath of office.
All righty. Seems that you brought your own Bible, so please place your hand on the Bible and repeat after me. I, Dan Gookin,
I, Dan Gookin,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United
the
States,
Constitution and laws of the State of Idaho,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Idaho,
and the ordinances of the City of Coeur d'Alene,
and the ordinances of the City of Coeur d'Alene,
that I will faithfully discharge
that I will faithfully discharge
all of the duties of the office of council member
all of the duties of the office of council member,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Welcome aboard again. You just sign a few things real quickly.
Nope, that was not my name. I signed your name.
I'll give you this one. And I have your certificate of election. Make sure I give you the right Dan.
Thank you
There
very
you
much.
go. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Congratulations, Danny.
And now I would ask Councilor Dan English to step down and take his oath of office.
That's okay.
Oh,
I'll still
oh,
swear you in.
oh,
You
okay.
just want to raise your right
Yes.
hand and repeat after me. I, Dan English,
I, Dan English,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Idaho,
the Constitution and the laws of the State of Idaho,
and the ordinances of the City of Coeur d'Alene,
and the ordinances of the City of Coeur d'Alene,
that I will faithfully discharge
that I will faithfully discharge
all the duties of the office of council member
all the duties of the office of council member
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Amen.
Welcome aboard again. I need your signature for that, all right? You just sign it there, here.
Two of them, okay.
I'll give you one back.
Oh, okay.
And then I have your certificate of election for your records as well.
Number of it, okay.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Okay.
And now we're going to take a recess to celebrate the reincarnation of these two.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wine for everybody?
And we have coffee and cookies in the back. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order, and the clerk will note that, well, not all the council are present.
Can I finish his cake?
His cake is here, but
He'll be back.
can, well, maybe we won't go. I know that he's here.
Shall we wait and make it awkward when he comes back?
Well, it's like those comedians that the speakers go into the restroom and
Oh, yeah.
say, Dan, can you hear us?
Give him a hard time.
Or, did you wash your hands?
So
Any
how-
announcements?
So how about that local sports team, huh?
Doing great.
Yeah.
They're so local.
Awesome.
Sure
So when he
does.
comes in, let's just slam the gavel and say, meeting adjourned.
Yes.
Get back to it.
Troy, well, this is embarrassing.
There really was, okay.
Okay, the clerk will note that all council are present except for Councilor Wood, who is absent and excused. We now turn to the new business portion of the agenda, and the first item is the election of a council president. Is there a motion to appoint somebody to that position?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I have a couple of questions, and since we're all here, I've been that guy, this council president guy, for a while, and I guess my question is, I don't think it was ever clear what shoulda, coulda, woulda done, other than when you aren't here, run the meeting. I think that, oh, and when you're on vacation, I sign checks, or things like that. I don't think we've ever talked about it as a council of, is there more to that? Should there be more to it? Does the council see it differently? Again, I just kind of go by what's been done over the last 20 years. So since we're talking history and stuff, I thought maybe a fresh perspective from you guys, or,
We weren't talking history and stuff.
okay. Well,
So are you thinking we might need legal to weigh in to say what the actual obligations for the council president are?
oh, I never thought of that. I didn't ask him early.
It's the
Would
extra
you
pay,
like to
right?
respond to that, Randy?
Yes, the council president takes the position as mayor when the mayor is absent, and such other duties as council may assign.
As
Oh,
the
cool.
council assigns or as the
council
mayor
may-
assigns?
As council may assign.
Oh, wow. Here we go.
So,
Comes that bunny suit at Easter.
so it's whatever I decide.
Or what they decide.
What council decides?
If you're not here, then the council can decide, right?
Yeah, they could.
Okay, well, I see the enthusiasm is overwhelming here. I was just trying to throw it out there as, you know, I've enjoyed it, but
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I've watched Boise council meetings, and in their council meetings run a little bit more formally than ours do. And when there's a new item to be introduced, the mayor introduces it, but then the council president actually reads the item. So they're a little bit more formal there. We don't have to be that way. But
I
that's
know
just, that
they've
was just an
always told me
example.
to do the consent calendar,
Yeah, that's about it.
so,
Yeah, that seems to me to add length unnecessarily to a meeting.
Well, there you go. I mean, I'm throwing that out there. I don't want you to, I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
suggesting
Well-
we do that. I just saw that, and I was like, oh, that's interesting that they do that.
So are you interested in continuing?
well, yeah, I've been practicing a lot of years now, and
Hey, I finally left and
I
let you
know.
run a meeting.
and it wasn't an easy one, as I recall,
Well,
but that's okay. I guess you earn it.
take me out of this, please.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to elect Council Member Woody McEvers as Council President.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Good answer. All those in favor respond with aye.
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 Opposed with nay. Motion carries.
I am honored, thank you. I will, if you guys have suggestions, feel free to.
You have to bring the snacks.
There you go.
Snacks, okay.
Social Committee, okay.
Okay, the
Thank
next
you.
item on the agenda is committee appointments. The duty of council members on various committees is to represent the council as a whole before those committees and to bring information about the work of those committees back to the council. This isn't for your sake, this is for the public. Any input of an individual council member may have while participating on a committee is merely the expression of their personal opinion and is not a commitment of the city. All decisions, of course, require full council consideration. So I asked about people seeking changes. None were sought. So we're going to stay with the current appointments, General Services Public Works Committee. The first grouping of council will attend the first meeting of the month, which will include Amy Evans as chairman, Christy Wood, and Dan English. The attendees for the second meeting of the month will include Woody McEvers as chairman, Dan Gookin, and Kiki Miller. I've been up since 4, so. The other committee assignments remain as follows. Councilmember Wood would be Tubbs Hill Foundation Liaison, Parks Foundation Liaison, Sick Bank Leave, and Parks and Recreation Commission. Councilmember Evans, Arts Commission, Ped Bike Committee, City Legislative Committee, Kootenai Connect, formerly Coeur d'Alene 2030, and Ignite CDA. Councilmember Gookin, KMPO, but I have another one coming up for you.
Oh,
We'll
come
talk.
on.
You'll be excited.
All right.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember McEvers, Coeur d'Alene TV, EMS, is that a commission? EMS?
Yeah, well.
EMS board,
Yes.
okay, and Lake City Senior Center, City Center Liaison, Councilman English, Parking Commission at Ignite Coeur d'Alene, and then Councilmember Miller, Library Board, Historic Preservation Commission, City Legislative Committee, Kootenai Connect, Association of Idaho Cities Board of Directors, which is really not my appointment, but the board's, and the Joint Chambers Public Policy Committee, and don't you also do NIBCA? Thank you. Okay, so that sets that. Next, we'll move on to other new business, which is approval of a billing document. Stephanie, welcome.
So this is an exciting item we bring forward to you guys, council, tonight. It's something that for my 5.5 years, I've only had our utility bill users begging for. And in talking to staff, some of them have said, this has been 8 to 10 years coming. So super excited to bring something like this forward. I think it's time for the city to bring something like this forward to our constituents. So what this is I'm asking for council to approve a 3-year renewable contract with a company called Billing Document Specialist, BDS. We've been working with them quite at length since August. We have been patiently working with our current system that does our credit card processing for at least 3 years, trying to bring some sort of system to the city for automatic bill pay for our utility billing. And we just haven't been able to get something settled, and so we started asking for other input. We came down to the two, this one and our current finance system, Springbrook, has an off-site one as well. But we negotiated quite well. I'm excited about the rates that we were able to obtain, and the fees that were disregarded for the city are amazing. So this is a contract I feel we can't let go. These are the best rates out there. In fact, I was just paying a bill yesterday, and I was like, oh gosh, their online processing fees are $3 minimum, and their rates are $3 or 3.8%. So I was like, we are getting a good rate for sure. So with that, BDS, what I'm proposing BDS will be doing, will also be printing and mailing out our utility bills. We will go from the current postcard to a bill that looks similar to the one that is on the screen now. It's a 8.5 by 11 sheet. It provides some good opportunities for us, the city, to make notes. There is some new fancy technology of QR codes and, just some good graphing and some visual aspects that I believe the utility users would like to see and recognize. And then it gives us a full page in the back to add notes, comments such as leaf pickup or fun things that may be happening in the city. We'll be able to add those things to the back of the bill or to the front even. And there's a minimal charge when we do want to add a few things, but it's actually a very minimal charge. So the rate that we received for that is 68 cents a statement, which is amazing. That being said, it's all done digitally for us. The system will work virtually the same. We will gather the readings. There will be a file that is generated. We're still going to continue the 2 cycles of billing every month. So if you're currently receiving your bill somewhere around the 20th of every month, you're still going to receive it in the mail if you choose. If you don't choose to do it that way, after you receive your first statement in February, you can click on that QR code and sign up to get your bill electronically. You can then choose how you want to receive notifications, email or text. And if your bill is coming late, they will email or text you. And the best part about that is you will have the option to select 1 or 2 and pay your bill right there. That is going to save city staff a ton of time, and I believe the utility bill users' frustration. I can't tell you how many times we're on the phone with somebody and they're saying, we're telling them, you're late, we need payment now to avoid shut-off. I'll just make a payment now. Oh, I'm sorry, we can't take payment here, you gotta call this other number. That's a little frustrating. That we're gonna take away for our constituents, which I'm excited for. The BDS is going to host all of that knowledge and information for us, so that takes that liability away from us, and for our IT department, they appreciate that. Reduces the cost there. Not something we're currently doing right now because our current merchant service holds all that information, but for our audits and whatnot, that is a benefit, that it's outsourced and off-site for us. So we do have to purchase at a one-time cost of $650, which is another really good negotiated rate. We're going to get 10 new keypads so that the constituents who still wish to come in and make payments here at the city can. We will have keypads here for them to make those payments. The minimum charge is going to maintain the same of $2 or 2.35%. That is currently what they're seeing now, so it shouldn't be any kind of sticker shock. The rates do decrease for the city. If you choose not to have your bill mailed to you, we don't have to pay that postage fee. So I'm hoping and I'm hopeful that by July we're going to see many of our utility bills are going to be posted electronically on a website host, and you log in, you can look at your utility bill, you can see all the notices and information. Your bill will look like this online to you, and then you pay your bill or set it up for automatic bill pay, where every month it'll say your bill is $74.98, and you set it so that it's paid by the 5th of that month. So,
Questions?
I just, did I walk on you? Sorry about that. I just wondered, when you mentioned this, what's the security risks with things like this? I mean, does this company, did that come up in the negotiations? Because I
Sure.
know that we're all real sensitive to have outsourced information.
absolutely. So it's all hosted on a secured base. It's not in the cloud. We were very specific not to go to something that's in the cloud. And so BDS will host all of that in their own secured.
And so our IT people took a look at this or not?
We did, yes. Oh, yeah. Through the entire negotiations, there was myself and a utility bill specialist, plus our comptroller, our city administrator, our IT specialist that is doing all that hosting with us. And we actually have done some live testing already, and currently it looks pretty good. We are right now being able to transmit electronically what our current, today, at 4 o'clock, what was still showing as due for bills. So,
Thank
the
you.
testing has gone really well.
Woody?
Council President?
Just a couple. So our cost is 68 cents to mail. Is that correct?
That's what it will cost us under this current contract.
To mail it? And what has been the old cost with the cardboard or the postcard? Do you know?
So, I was asked this question earlier today, and I thought, I had some numbers, but they're not, they're a little bit more drastic than I had anticipated. So just in our hard cost last year for 2023, our total yearly cost for buying ink cartridges, all the hard card stock, and postage, $107,293.
So we're going to save some money, you think?
We will start saving money. Especially, that is because we print and mail each and every bill. As soon as you start signing up for it to be electronic, that 68 cents goes away to the city.
The other question was, I know, doing the checkbook, I noticed there's quite a few departments that contribute to the mailing, the water department, sewer, stormwater. Does that money still go there to support this thing, or does that go away for them?
So we will be able to prorate our monthly fees to each one of those utility enterprise fund accounts, because that's what we are billing for, and they see that the revenue, when it comes to the city, is distributed out per each line item, the usage. So like, see how on this bill we have a water and a trash? So that would be in those separate line items, that money would come in specifically to those line items.
I think this is great. I know Troy's fought it for years until it could be perfect and secure and cheap.
And that's
Appreciate
it. We didn't want to have a large increase to our utility bill users.
I bet he kept his thumb on you the whole time, huh?
He got a good nickname in the process, and
That's a compliment. That's a compliment. I'm sorry.
it's a good compliment for the city, yes.
Thank you so much.
Councilor
We
Gookin?
just stepped into the
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So Stephanie, the bill, I'm looking at it, and I've wanted this for a long time. Actually, I spoke to council before I was even elected years ago, asking why we can't do this, because every other city in the county does this. We're the last. This is the only bill that I have to print a check for anymore.
And I hear that daily.
Yeah, so thank you. The question is on the cost. So it says that the processing fee will be paid by the user at extremely low rate, so $2 minimum. Would that appear on this bill as a line item?
It is not on here. So when you have the option to log into this, we have this new website, the HTTPS CDA ID billing.
Is it live?
It is not currently live because we don't have a signed contract. As soon as the
Okay.
contract is signed in February 1, it will be a live site.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes.
But yeah, so when you sign in, go ahead.
When you sign in, then you're going to have the option to choose how you would like to pay. If you choose to pay by credit card, then the minimum will be $2 or that 2.35%.
Okay, and if you do an automatic, and you call it here, the automatic debited from the bank.
The
which is how I
ACH.
pay my- Yeah, the ACH.
Yeah, that is.
Automated Clearinghouse, that's what it stands for.
Yes.
And that's like how I pay Avista and how I pay my gym membership and Verizon, so
There's a
will there be?
$1 fee for that.
Why is there a $1 fee for that?
There is that processing fee to transfer those funds that has to be covered by somebody.
Okay, I didn't think there was a charge for ACH.
I didn't think so either, but there is in this platform.
So they're charging for something that the bank doesn't charge for?
Well, I'm not positive if the bank does actually charge somebody for that these days, because they might be starting to lose money on that these days.
Okay, I checked with Post Falls, and from a conversation I remember, because they use the same system,
Yes.
and I think I talked to their financial guy there,
Jason.
and there was no charge.
Okay.
So they didn't charge. Instead, they had the cost absorbed by the utilities, because all these are utilities. This is not property tax. These are
Enterprise funds.
enterprise funds. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And so, why aren't our utilities just eating this cost?
We could do a rate study, and we could incorporate these costs, especially after maybe giving this a year to see where we're at usage-wise, because I do believe we're going to get a huge usage. There's a lot of people who choose to pay by credit card and get those points. And so it's easy for them to pay the $2 and still earn the points. We don't want to do that currently because we still do have a few people who love to come in and pay by check.
Are we charging them any extra for?
There's no fee for them, other than having to pay whoever, Costco, that's where I have to buy mine once every 10 years, checks.
Your checks, okay, all right. Also, so we're going to charge a fee, a processing fee, or is that BDS that charges the processing fee?
BDS will,
It's a pass-through?
yes, exactly, yes.
Okay, and it's going to cost, you said it's going to cost the city $14,000 thereabouts, but yet we're going to be saving $107,000 a year.
Well, that's just in hard cost. I did a quick calculation, and just based on 3 employees, about 2 hours every day, for the year, we paid about $76,518.84 in employee cost to process and hand do these checks, or these bills.
Mm-hmm.
And every morning, for anybody who pays for parks deposit, building permits, fire permits, business license online, those are currently hand-keyed into the system and processed. And with this new system, it'll be an automatic download pull every day that only has to be checked by one person to make sure that it's hitting the correct GLs.
Have you anticipated all the calls you're going to get, or actually, who would handle the calls if someone has an issue with this?
So we will be able to have administrator rights on our side. So all our utility bill specialists, we've got the 4 in the front of the office there. And as the phone calls come in, we will be able to get on and see maybe where they're even having a hang-up on their side and walk them through that process.
One more thing. On the current bill, there is an item for homeless donations, and I think it's usually about $5,000 a year. Where is that here?
So when it's not here.
Yeah.
You mean to add it in, like down here at the bottom of because if you decide to pay your bill by check, the bottom portion will be detached and ran through the scanner here
there is.
and processed.
It's NAMPA, but.
So yeah, you'll
It
be
says
able.
Example
NAMPA.
at the
Okay.
This is just an example, yeah.
Okay,
So
so it
you'll
says
be able
NAMPA,
to
that's
add
right.
your donation in the bottom. Napa also takes some donations for other things other than homeless, but you'll be able to add it in here if you choose. If you choose to do it online, there's the exact same box. When you log in online and create your account, you can choose how you're going to pay, ACH or credit card, how you want to do it. Do you want to log in every month and pay the bill, or do you want us to do an automatic pull? And how do you want to receive notifications, text, email, or both?
So we'll get a notification, we can go to the webpage, we can see what the bill is,
Mhm.
and then we can do our finances, and we know that hit's coming.
Yep.
But you're
And-
still gonna hit me up for $1 on my on my ETF.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's-
Okay.
Let's let them work with it for a while and.
Oh, I shall not forget it.
Hey, we made a big.
$12 is $12.
That's right.
Well, not anymore.
And we could at some point revisit the rates for our utility bills.
Well,
And I think we should, and that was, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, you mentioned before the meeting that, if we did that, if we did have the utilities pay for the processing, then actually we would be charging people who still come in with checks, basically for a service that they're not receiving.
They're
But I
not
guess what
interested.
we can wait for is see what the data is and see how many old fogies there are who come in. Because I'd be one of them. I mean, to save a buck, I'll drop off a check. But anyway.
Well, but I think where you were going, and correct me if I'm wrong, is if we're creating this huge savings,
Yeah, just
maybe out
eat
of
it,
that, we can pay that buck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me.
Well,
Dan?
one quick question is just that, like on the
Make it quick.
Kootenai or Vista or something, you can say, I want to pay the same thing every month. They look at your historical usage, which I'm guessing we maybe don't have it now, but down the road they could do. Like, I'm going to owe $62 every month, and I won't have to worry about the spiking water in the summer kind of thing, so.
So we don't necessarily have what they call the comfort billing
Yes.
set up. But we do have a lot of people who do just say, you know what, every month I'm going to pay $100 because the water usage, it's the opposite for the electricity. It actually goes up in the summer because they're watering their grass and their gardens. So their rates or their utility bills are a little bit higher in the summer than they are in the winter.
Yeah.
And so it usually balances out. We carry that credit with them for their account until the
If you
summer.
wanted to loan the city some money ahead of time.
We'll
Okay,
take it.
But no, I get it, thanks.
Okay. I would
Mr. Mayor.
appreciate some, well, first of all, I would like to thank Stephanie for
Yeah,
shepherding
terrific.
this project through and getting us to where we're finally offering these kinds of options. It's something we should have been doing, and I'm glad we're finally getting there. Thank you, Stephanie.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Then, Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to approve resolution number 24-001, approving an agreement with billing document specialists for utility billing, statement, and electronic payment services.
Second.
You should have been seconding.
No, I do have a comment, though. I would just like to thank the city for 24 years into the 21st century of joining the 21st century.
I'll
And
second
the
that.
city says you're very welcome.
Say-
Will the
give
clerk
it
take-
an Amen. I want an amen.
Yes. Will the clerk take the roll, please?
Evans?
Yes.
Miller?
Aye.
McEvers?
Yes.
Gookin?
Why not?
English?
Yes.
Motion carries. Now we have a change order. Todd. Streets and Engineering Director.
Thank you. Happy New Year, Mr. Mayor and council members. I come to you tonight seeking approval of change order number 1 for our Streets and Engineering Building remodel project with Stancraft Construction Group. We started the project the first week of October. They started tearing it apart and finding all the stuff we don't really want to find, but anyway, it's moving along at a good pace. So far, it's on schedule, I would say. So with this change order, though, we have found some things through the demolition project, some bathroom fixtures, things like that, that weren't able to be reused. That was unforeseen. We had hoped to pour some concrete in the front for our vestibule with city staff, and because of the late start and when we got everything approved, it kind of went head-to-head with leaf pickup, and our staff was not able to do that, so we had to invite Stancraft to do that work for us. There's been a few other things just unforeseen throughout the project as they tear it open, old studs that are rusted that they had to replace, something you can't see. So anyway, so I come to you tonight looking for a change order, the cost of $55,005.19. We feel that these funds will be coming from our current streets and engineering building remodel budget. So we were prepared for this, hoping to keep the change orders at a minimum. We're doing a lot of value engineering. I have a lot of experience in this neighborhood. There will be another change order. I can't give you a cost estimate on it yet, but there was a miss on the fire corridor upstairs, and I'm waiting for all the information. I'll have to come back with that one. But for now, this change order will create a small delay in the project of 10 days, so that would move the expected completion to May 8th of spring of 24. So my recommendation tonight would be that council approve change order number 1 for $55,005.19, and I would take any questions.
Questions? Woody?
I was freaked out when I first saw this. I thought it had something to do with the windows in the locker room, and then I realized it wasn't at all, so I'm very supportive of this and appreciate, if you ever guys get a chance to go out and get a tour, it's amazing how they kept so much stuff. He's so cheap. I love it. You know? And that's a compliment, you know.
Thank you.
Seeing no further questions, what action would the council like to take?
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve resolution number 24002, approving change order number 1 for the contract with Wood Boat Builders LLC, DBA Stancraft Construction Group, related to the Streets and Engineering Building Remodel Project in the amount of $55,005.19.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk take the roll, please?
Miller,
Aye.
McEvers,
Yes.
Gookin,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The motion carries. The next thing on the agenda is acceptance, if awarded, of a JAG grant. Welcome, Captain Hager.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, and Happy New Year. What I bring before you tonight is a request to allow us to submit for and accept, if awarded, a grant from the Byrne JAG Justice Assistant Grant for $35,000 to outfit 2 of our patrol cars with ALPR cameras. That's the automated license plate reader, and we've talked about this in the past. We have them currently on patrol cars. We've had them on trailers, and they're also fixed sites around the county. This grant is for operations that will enhance regional activities. And so you probably saw a press release that we did a couple weeks ago where we had the crew out of Florida that came through and did the vehicle burglaries. As soon as we can get identifiable information, we put those types of license plates into the system. These people also hit up in Hayden, and they also hit out in Rathdrum. We've used this program for 2 homicides since 2020. The second of which was basically built on being able to show the traffic flow of the suspect in this based on timing. They'd come from south of town a distance, and we were able to put them at different locations to solidify the case against that individual. We use this for missing persons. We use it for stolen vehicles or known drug smugglers through, they call this a high-intensity drug trafficking area through I-90 from the DEA up here. This is information that allows us to coordinate with our regional partners and share that and basically make our communities safer with the information that we can obtain through investigations or, quite honestly, real-time crime. If the officer's car is driving around and there's a stolen license plate, we're not in there typing license plates all the time, but these cameras read that and they automatically run that plate, and it'll tell if there's a hit, or if it's an Amber Alert that there may be a child that's in this car that we don't know about that's come from another area. This is information that we can load into the system. So it's very beneficial to us and has really helped us solve crimes.
Council? Woody?
Do we, this grant's great. Do we do these on our own?
We have done them on our own outside of the grant. We've done them regionally. We'll get together and figure out what areas are the greatest kind of intro or input into our area versus the outflow. And we have done them outside of that, but we usually try to get the grant to make it easier on us. There's no match for this grant,
Right.
and so it's a great benefit to our community.
Really awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Council action, please.
Oh, so, Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to approve resolution number 24003, authorizing the police department to apply for, and if awarded, accept the CY 2024 Edward Byrd Memorial Justice Grant, JAG, $35,000 grant to acquire 2 Vigilant Mobile ALPR automated license plate reader camera systems and equipped for marked patrol units.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk take the roll, please?
McEvers? McEvers?
Yes.
Gookin? Gookin?
Yes.
English?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
Miller?
Aye.
Gonna make her work.
Motion carries. This does not bode well for the first meeting of the new year, you guys.
Still early, right?
It's only 7:24.
Oh, wow.
Okay, our last agenda item is adoption of amendments to our municipal code, and our illustrious city attorney, Randy Adams, is going to take us through this.
So I hope that doesn't bode ill for the last speaker, too. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Before you tonight are a number of amendments to Title 14 of the Coeur d'Alene Municipal Code, also known as the Development Impact Fee Ordinance. It's been 27 years since this ordinance was enacted, and except for the addition of Chapter 17 last year to allow for the collection of impact fees for KCE MSS, it's been 19 years since any amendments have been made to this ordinance. So it shouldn't be surprising to hear that it might well be time to make some changes to the text of this ordinance. The amendments that are presented to you tonight are the result of at least a couple of months of work by the planning department, the legal department, the city's development impact fee consultant, and of course the work to update impact fees and the related capital improvement plans has been going on for a lot longer, since at least early 2022. So I can hope to say without contradiction that work we've done has been rewarding and even fun, and we hope that the results tonight will meet with your approval.
What do you?
To give you a brief history of the city's development impact fee ordinance, a previous ordinance had been adopted in 1993 but was found to be an illegal tax by the Idaho Supreme Court in 1995. After that decision, the legislature changed the law, probably because of that case, and in early 1996, and the city adopted a new impact fee ordinance in December of 1996. In 2001, 2003, and 2004, amendments were made to this ordinance, but only to the definitions section. In 2004, an amendment was also made to identify the new development impact fee report. And as I said, in 2023, a new Chapter 17 was added for KCEMSS. Otherwise, the ordinance that is on the books is substantially as it was in 1996. In contrast, state law, which is found in Title 67, Chapter 82 of the Idaho Code, has seen several substantive changes over the years, having been amended at least 12 times since the law hit the books in 1992. For example, in 2003 alone, changes were made to the sections on proportionate share determination, on credits, on refunds, and none of those changes in state law were reflected in the city ordinance until tonight's proposed amendments. The city's proposed amendments attempt to capture those state law amendments to correct the definition section so that only terms actually used are actually defined, and that terms needing definition are actually defined. And on a personal note, to clean up Title 14 in terms of capitalization, punctuation, and grammatical conventions. Significant changes in the proposed amendments before you include correcting references to the development impact fee report
which will be new and may be ongoing. That's shown on page 2 of the proposed ordinance. The definition of the term Addendum A and the definition of the word report on page 5 have all been changed to match the state law. We've also eliminated definitions of terms which aren't actually used in the ordinance, except as they appear in the definitions section. Examples of these are found on page 4 of the proposed ordinance. We adjusted several definitions as needed due to the elimination of the quadrant system. Refer to page 3. And we deleted a chapter specifically dealing with quadrants, which is chapter 1404 on page 8. We added language to the exemption section on page 7, which refers to heated floor area. Now, this isn't a requirement of state law, but was deemed appropriate by the planning department and the consultant to avoid charging a fee for space which isn't habitable. Under the existing ordinance, exemptions, assessments, credits, refunds, and extraordinary impacts are to be determined by the city treasurer. This was felt to be a little outside the expertise of our eminent city treasurer, and that the building official, who is the person who actually calculates and collects impact fees, would be the proper official to make those determinations. And of course, appeals from those decisions still go to the city council. And then the treasurer will still continue to handle the deposit of and record keeping for the funds. You can see these changes on pages 7, 9, 10, 14, and 17 of the proposed ordinance. We also corrected the rules with respect to the determination of proportionate share on page 11, credits on pages 13 to 15, and we included the right to pay under protest, which is an aspect of federal law that had not been reflected in our city ordinance, and that's on page 15. In summary, we believe that we have captured several changes in state law, as well as made numerous technical corrections, so that the Title 14 will serve the city well into the future. And these changes should be made regardless of what council does in 2 weeks on the actual impact fees or capital improvement plans. Earlier, there was some discussion with Melissa about an annual increase to the impact fees. This is not reflected in these amendments, so if that's something you would like to see, we can do that, but it had not been directed to us to do at this point. It is in the chapter on the KCEMSS that there's an annual increase, so we can do the same for the other impact fees. So with that, I will stand for questions, and our planning director is here if I find myself out of my depth.
Randy, this is a little bit off mark, but you just referred to the escalation clause that we're talking about. That would still, because that's an increase in fees, would still have to be heard before the council, wouldn't it?
It would come before council on the annual basis with the other increases in fees.
With the other fees that are increased. Okay, thank you. Other questions? Woody?
Quadrants, when did they go away?
They will go away if you adopt these ordinances and the impact fees. This was part of a long discussion with the streets department. The quadrants only apply to the streets capital improvement plans, and it is oftentimes they are the expenses that we incur in improving streets aren't really tied to the quadrants as well as we'd like. So it will become a city-wide impact fee for streets instead of by quadrant.
Thank you.
The essence of that, Woody, to me, is I drive all over the city. There isn't just a quadrant that I hang my all my chores, I guess.
Seem to remember it kind of gave you a different perspective of the city, as I remember, and it was the money generated in the quadrant stayed there, or you could and you could move things around. If there was a project in one quadrant, you could take it out of another.
It does get a lot more complicated trying to do it that way because the needs are really universal throughout the city, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I don't have a question. When you were talking about doing capitalization, you weren't kidding. These pages look like the chicken pox. I mean, there's just lots of capitalization. And you did this all by yourself, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you for the grammar corrections. It drives me crazy.
And I apologize for my emails with poor grammar and corrections, so sorry about that. Would it be beneficial for us to add to this motion to include an annual review for the entire impact fee set at this time so that it's part of this ordinance?
An annual review of the impact fees. You've talked about doing the automatic annual increase, and council can still, even with that, request to review the fees as it wishes.
So the ordinance wouldn't need to trigger any of that?
It does not need to trigger council's input on that.
As I heard you, you've tried to make this language such that it doesn't date itself so much as the old ordinance.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Well, seeing no further questions, I'm going to open the public hearing. We have one person who signed up and says she is in favor of this, that is Suzanne Knutson. Did not say whether you wanted to testify or not, but I see you're coming up here, so you must wish to testify.
It's
Welcome.
because I wasn't sure if I wasn't sure if I wanted to testify, but anyway, you have to swear me in, so. I do want to give public comment.
Okay, swear.
All right. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the full truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Thanks. My comment is about the annual review of the impact fees. I know it was mentioned earlier, and I didn't see it in the, when I reviewed the PDF that I was able to pull up from the website. So, and so I wasn't sure where it was supposed to be. Would it happen each month, or what, same month every year, or does it have to be every year? Could it be every other year? I think it would be great practice if we got used to seeing the impact fees, and then it wouldn't seem so ominous or something. It seems like it was such a big process, and I don't think it has to be that way. I don't know if the other cities around here that do have impact fees, I know that some of them, I've done some of the impact fee work for my job, and I've noticed that some of the cities in northern Idaho have different designations for smaller dwellings, as was presented. And I think that things are going to be changing quite rapidly with impact fees, especially with the focus on workforce housing and housing affordability. And I'm wondering if maybe instead of reviewing them more often would help some of that. I know that some of the communities have a newer designation for larger homes that are four plus bedrooms and maybe 3 or more bathrooms. Some of them have, none of the ones that I have researched in the 5 northern counties have anything for something smaller than a 3-bedroom. So I'm wondering if we could research maybe and do some impact fees for maybe a 0 to 2 bedroom, maybe a tiny home impact fees, so we can look at some of that. It would be quite a bit smaller. And then another thing I'm concerned about is, while I'm in agreement with Councilmember Miller on getting impact fees from for the parks from some of the hotels and things like that, because if it could help with refurbishing bathrooms to make the restrooms in the parks more accessible to people who use a mobility device such as a wheelchair, I think that would be very helpful. And if it would help to add more accessible play structures and swings, I think that those impact fees would be put to good use. So But yeah, I would like to see that yearly review. If it could be the same month every year, I think it would be very helpful. But I think that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, I will close the public hearing. How does council wish to act?
Professionally.
That sounds wonderful.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move to dispense with the rule and read Council Bill 241000 once by title only.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Will the clerk take the roll, please?
McEvers?
Yes.
Gookin?
Yep.
English?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
Miller?
Hi.
Please read the title.
Council Bill number 24-1000. An ordinance providing for the amendment of Coeur d'Alene Municipal Code Title 14, Development Impact Fee, providing for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, providing for the publication of a summary of the ordinance, and providing for an effective date hereof.
Thank you. Need a motion?
Motion to adopt Council Bill 241000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk take the roll, please?
McEvers?
Yes.
Gookin?
Yeah.
English?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
Miller?
Hi.
And a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor respond with aye.
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 Opposed with nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned.
Happy New Year.
Just making sure you're awake.